Hello everyone and welcome back to English with Kathryn. Today we're going to look at the passive voice. Now the passive voice is a favorite with academics. So if you're going to be sitting the IELTS, the Cambridge, the TOEFL examinations, then I recommend you learn this tense really well because the examiners absolutely love it in both the speaking and the writing tasks. As well as that, politicians use it a lot, the news, print and TV media use it a lot. So it's important to be able to recognize it at least. So let's first explain the difference between the active voice and the passive voice. By taking this sample sentence, the police arrested 2 bank robbers. Okay, here you have the subject. You have the verb, and then finally the object. That's a normal active sentence where the subject is at the beginning. However, in a passive sentence, we have the object in the beginning, followed by the verb in the passive voice, and then finally the subject. But we don't always need the subject in the passive voice. And I'll go through this a little bit later. Now let's look at how we form the passive voice. Okay, so in the previous sentence, 2 bank robbers were arrested by the police. We have were arrested. We have the verb to be in the past simple in this case. And as always, the past participle. So the passive voice is formed with the verb to be in either the past tense, the present tense, or the future tense, and the past participle. There's that pesky past participle again. It's everywhere. It's in the perfect tenses. It's in lots of other areas. So you really need to know the past participles. In the description of this video, I have a link to the 200 most common irregular verbs and their past participles. At least you have a PDF you can download and study the past participles. Because the regular past participles just have an ed ending, like the past simple. For example, look, looked, watch, watched, and so on. So now we know how the passive is formed through the verb to be and the past participle. Let's conjugate it. Let's do it in all of the different tenses. Now, I want you to participate here. I'm going to give you the active sentence in each tense, and I want you to guess the passive form of it. So after the active sentence, I want you to pause the video and try and write down or even think up in your head the answer, the passive form of the sentence on the screen. Okay, are you ready to give it a go? Good. Okay, first let's start with the present simple. Let's take the sentence, somebody steals my car. Somebody steals my car. And of course, because the subject is at the beginning of the sentence, this is an active sentence. Now, I want you to put it in the passive form. Okay, how did you go? Let's see the answer. My car is stolen by somebody. Did you get that right? Okay, let's move on to the present continuous. Somebody is stealing my car. Again, this is the active sentence. I want you to pause the video and put the sentence in the passive. Yeah, this one is a little bit trickier, right? So let's see the answer. So it's my car is being stolen by somebody. So we put the verb to be in the ing form, the present continuous or progressive form. And we have the past participle as well. Okay, I hope you're getting the hang of it. Now let's try the past simple. which is probably one of the most common uses of the passive form, because they use it a lot in the news when something happened in the past. So this one is very important. Somebody stole my car. Pause the screen and put this active sentence into the passive form. Okay, how did you go? As you know, we need to put the verb to be into the past simple. So let's do that. Was, right? My car was stolen by somebody. Very, very good. Okay, another very common use of the passive is with the present perfect form. So let's look at the active sentence. Somebody has stolen my car. Okay, can you put this in the passive form now? Pause the screen. Yes, my car has, we need the has, it's the present perfect, has been stolen. So we need to put the verb to be in the present perfect, has been. And then we always need the past participle with the main verb. We're going to skip the present perfect continuous because we don't really use this in the passive form. So we're going to go now to the past perfect. Very similar to the present perfect, except we use had instead of has. Somebody had stolen my car. Pause the video and put this in the passive form. Yes, my car had been stolen by someone. I think you're getting the hang of it now. I hope. Okay, let's finish this section with two future tenses. Let's start with will. Somebody will steal my car. Pause the screen and try and put this in the passive form. My car will be stolen by somebody. Well done. That's great. And the last one, the future perfect. Somebody will have stolen my car. In the passive form, we have my car will have been stolen. My car will have been stolen by somebody. Okay, it's not a tense that we would use very often in the passive form, but it's definitely possible. Okay, now we get to the juicy part. When in God's name am I going to use this tense? So the first one, when we want the focus to change from the subject of the sentence to the object of the sentence. So we're really concentrating on which is the real focus of the sentence. Shakespeare wrote Hamlet. In this sentence, because Shakespeare is first, we're really focused on the fact that Shakespeare wrote Hamlet. And we're not really focused on Hamlet as such. But if we swap it around and make it a passive sentence, we put Hamlet first. Hamlet was written by Shakespeare. And in this sentence, because Hamlet is first, it's the main focus of the sentence. Okay, the next obvious reason for using the passive form is when we don't care about who does the action. It's obvious who's doing the action, or we don't know who's doing the action. Let's take some examples. The road is being repaired. The road is being repaired by people who work on the road. We don't really care who is repairing the roads. Not in this sentence anyway. So we don't even need to put them in the sentence. All we care about is that the road that is full of potholes is being repaired. That's the main thing. Next one, the man was arrested. Okay, so who normally does the arresting? It's the police, right? Normally. So we don't even need to mention it here because it's obvious that the police arrested the man. So we leave it out. And this is something that we see very, very often in the news when it's obvious who is doing the action. And last but not least, The car was stolen. So we actually don't know who stole the car. We could say by somebody, but we don't need to say this. All we're concerned about is getting that car back. We don't really care who did it. Okay, we also use the passive form in factual, scientific, and academic writing and speaking. In 2001, thousands of people were killed on our national roads. So we may not know who exactly killed each person. We don't want to put this in the headline or in the statistics. So we use the passive form instead. Our planet is surrounded by an ozone layer. Okay, we can put this in the active. An ozone layer surrounds our planet, but in factual writing and speaking, I think it's more dramatic to use the passive form here. It's really a preference, but you will often hear it in documentaries. You'll hear people using the passive voice rather than the active voice. It just sounds more natural. Okay, let's take another sentence that would be better off in the passive. So this is an active sentence, and I want you to put it in the passive form. People have been capturing animals and putting them in zoos for much of human history. So this is an active sentence. Now pause the screen, think about it for a bit, and put it in the passive form. For much of human history, animals have been captured and put in zoos. That sounds better, don't you think? Rather than using people. People is a bit redundant here. We don't really need it. One, because it's obvious that people are doing it. And two, it just adds extra words to the sentence. We don't really need it. Okay, I hope you got something out of that lesson. I'm going to put more active sentences in the description below, and I want you to be able to put them in the passive. So you can write your answers in the comments and I'll take a look. Good luck and see you for next Grammar Tuesday.